Welcome to our second quarterly Arizona ACES committee meeting for um, 2026, which still feels really weird to say. Today we were going to do our committee and partner updates first, but since they're not here, I'm just going to switch things around. We'll do just a quick board update and announcements. And in our announcements, if you were here for our last quarterly meeting, or if you were able to watch the replay for our last quarterly meeting, we talked about the Arizona Health Improvement Plan and what they're doing now, right, for this next iteration of the Arizona Health Improvement Plan. They're a 4-year thing, plan that comes in. We had identified strategies, and I just kind of updated all of you where we were at on that. Well, where we're at now is we have identified actions to go into this draft plan, and we are looking for community organizations that already do this, some of the action plans, or if you know of other community organizations that are already working on these action plans, so that we can get the community organizations that are already doing this work, already in this field, connected, right, to the draft of the plan before it gets finalized. So we will talk about that, and then just some consortium updates. And then, of course, always have our network share out. So if you have anything that you would like to share with our network, know that, outside of the ones that are in the meeting with us, we do have it recorded. We always have replays of it. And then we also send all of the information out in a follow-up recap email. So if you have anything to share, have that prepared. So we'll kind of quick go through this piece. For our board updates, we are going to be starting to look for new board members. And so if you have any leads or any interest, we're looking specifically for business development and marketing, and ones that are connected more to our kind of for-profit sectors, so we can see how we can best really start partnering with our for-profit businesses. So, with ACEs, with resilience, with all of those pieces, we know the best thing we can do for our kiddos is train adults, right? And to create the adults in our community to be safe, supportive, caring adults. Where are the vast majority of adults? They're in the working sector, right? And so how can we best reach the adults who are incredibly busy, and partner with their work in order to help bring them more awareness on what that means to be a safe, supportive, caring adult. So just keep your eye out for those pieces. So for our consortium announcements, I wanted to let you all know of, oh, I thought I put this link in my things to easily do, but alas, I did not. So let me get this real quick. Um, we have so many trainings, and one of the harder pieces was, okay, so like there's almost too much, right? So our big training brochure was like 12 pages, 13 pages, something like that, and it had everything in there. And so what we did was we pulled those pieces, those individual kind of pieces out, and created individual brochures that are just really more targeted, right? So if you're looking specifically for workforce development, and you're looking specifically for reentry or youth resilience, stress and resilience, you have kind of the individualized brochures that are in there, so you can see what it is, what kind of trainings that we do provide outside of just the standard understanding ACEs and understanding trauma. And so that link is there where you can get the full brochure, but then also the individual pieces to it. So for 26, 27, we've had some changes. We all know that, our grant with Maricopa County Department of Public Health ended in June of 2025. And I know that all of us in the human health and services sector are feeling the financial cuts that have come down from our federal government, and just even from our state, and all of those pieces. We have way more people in need at this moment, and we have less funds to deal with them. And we have not been exempt from that, right? Um, we have more nonprofits that are fighting for the same amount of the same dollars. The Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family just released an RFG for their TSAP grant, and they even said it's going to be really competitive this year. They've been doing this for years, and they've had double the amount of interest in the grant announcements than they've had in previous years. And so what does that look like for the consortium? What that looks like for the consortium is trying to find the place that does the greatest impact with the least amount of dollars, right? And what my questions are to you all. So first, letting know some changes. We were sending emails out through Boomerang. We have changed that to Zephy. So we have a new donation platform, but it also allows us to send emails, and it doesn't cost us anything. And so while we may not have the branded emails coming through you, you will have to look to whitelist the Zephy email from it, but that is where all of our updates and things will be coming from. We are looking to cut as many costs as we can that are really unnecessary and just kind of extras, right? That yes, it's really nice to have branded emails coming from all of us. But when it comes to being able to provide services or give you a really pretty email, I'd rather provide services, right? And so that is just a kind of awareness for you all. And then a questions for you guys, and I really would like your input here is what are the things that we should keep, right? Like I have ideas of what I would like to keep going. Um, when we started when Marcia started the consortium in 2007, it started as a think tank. Really, no idea we would get to the point that we're at currently right now, right? Um, 2019, we're able to incorporate into an official 501(c)(3). But there's always been grassroots things that we have kept. For example, our quarterly meetings, right, with our members to update and to share out our work groups that we have. But what are some of the other things that you think that are, if I had to go down to bare bones, what would you like to, say, like, please don't have this go away? And then in that same vein, is there anything that we should be adding at this time, right? Is there anything that you think like, hey, you all really fit into this space? Have you thought about um, kind of bringing this up there? So some of the things thinking of are like our work groups, our summit, our annual summit. And if we keep the summit, what does that look like? I know virtual space is kind of hard for people, and so many people have asked me to go to in person, but just, an in-person conference is expensive. I priced out just one day at Desert Willow, and it was $27,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money to spend on, you know what I mean, on one piece where I can do the Hoover platform for about 6,500, and I can have multiple days out of that. And so yeah, I want to hear from you. You come off mute, put it in the chat. But what are things that we should keep, and is there anything that we should add?
Okay, I'll jump in,
Yeah.
Angie. So I think definitely the quarterly meetings are bring everybody together. I think the work groups, yes, I think those are important. Um, I think the summit as well, and you really have a good, reputation. People know about it. I mean, even promoting it outside of Arizona, I think that could be done because there's a need for it. And yes, because of costs, and I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. Unless you've got a big donor, going virtual is really what you have to do. And yes, we love in person. It's just so hard to make that happen unless you get a big donor. And then I think the platform where there's just a lot of resources, I think that is so important, and access to on-demand trainings, because of
Mhm.
people's schedules and being able to access those. So those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And thank you, Annie. Yeah, the quarterly meetings. What should we keep? Anything we should add? We also do have a new online learning platform, right, that has our resilience empowerment project for educators. It has the full 2 year piece on that. That's the next slide. And we are working on putting our stress and resilience trainings um, on there as well. But looking at some on-demand trainings, that is something that we can look at putting on that platform. Um, yeah. And another suggestion. Oh, Tatiana, go ahead. You're off mute, but I cannot hear you.
Oh,
Oh, there you are. I hear
oh,
you now.
okay. I was saying, just give me a minute. I'm gonna keep on talking and then eventually you're gonna hear me and put a thumbs up. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I'm absolutely in line as well with the quarterly meetings and the summit. But something to add, I wonder if maybe like pretty soon, like next year is gonna be 2027, is gonna be about 20-year
Yeah, we'll be
mark.
20 years.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe we could just add something of a celebratory thing, maybe just
Hmm.
some banners, even if it's virtual, some words of just kind of gratitude for those that have started this. And it's
Yep.
not something that, there's an expense, but more of a gratitude place.
Yeah. Yeah, I concur. I concur.
Because sometimes we don't celebrate each other,
Yeah.
just because this work is so heavy and it's so much. And as you said, now we're working like with more individuals with less funding. And I think we just have to give each other grace and just, this is tough work, but it's so important. And we should
Yeah.
celebrate each other and one another.
Yeah. Yeah, I concur, Tatiana. I concur. Yeah, Annie's comment in the thing that I think the summit is also great, but I've personally not attended. I find it harder to make time for it since it's virtual and get distracted by day-to-day work. And absolutely, really trying to find that kind of balance of is there a way that we can offer in-person offerings um, and make that work financially too. Yeah, Leslie said, I think the on-demand training piece is really big right now, even certificated courses online that offer some type of a certificate of completion or CEs. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, especially in the educator space, it's so they have so much on their plate. And committing to a 3 year project is with the turnover and never knowing what it looks like from 1 year to the next. Um, we didn't want that curriculum to just sit on a shelf somewhere. And so what could we do to bring it to more? Any other suggestions or things that you think that we should keep? Personally, I really, the work group, the foundational pieces of the consortium, I don't want to see go away, right? The quarterly meetings, the work groups, some version of the summit, whatever that kind of ends up looking like, those pieces for sure. Um, and then, of course, our training of the trainers, right? We have our ACES certified training of the trainers, but we also have our youth resilience one, and we do have a resilience empowerment project training of the trainer. And maybe there's a way that we can work on doing that kind of on demand piece for some of that as well, portions of it. Not sure how that would look, but maybe we've had some coaching into it as well. These two. Okay, well, if you think of anything else, y'all know where I am. So please, um, please reach out. Um, Okay, so the online resilience empowerment project for educators that we have been talking about, that is the full 2 years worth. So they get 20 professional development hours. It is online, it is on demand, it's 100% self-paced in there. It's currently set up as the full entire piece. I think I'm also going to break it into level year 1 and year 2, so it doesn't maybe seem like so much because when you open up that page, it's like 85 lessons, something like that, which we wanted to give all of the material, but it also may be a little bit overwhelming. We've had really great feedback from the participants who have gone through that. Some of the ways that we can use this training, if you are in a school, if you are in a district, as those pieces is you can kind of treat it as like a book club where your educators are going through it on their own time, the training, and then you all come together during the staff meeting and discuss those lessons or those pieces or have kind of specific touch points of how do we operationalize this information into our day-to-day. So just kind of some thoughts of out of the box kind of thoughts of way that you can use the online training, but use it for a cohort of educators within the same school. Okay, I do.
Could I ask one quick question, Angie?
Yeah,
Hi.
please do. Hi,
Um,
Rachel.
thank you. And maybe I should know this, but I don't. Could
You're
you
fine.
remind me what would be the best audience for this in terms of ages for children, teachers and children in terms of grades, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's across the board.
So
So
like K through 8, K through
all of it.
12. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is really, we have kept it. Yes, we have classroom strategies in there, but they're still
Okay.
classroom strategies for across the spectrum. Um, of pieces. It's really focused more on developing adults with also adding classroom strategies and school strategies within there. But you can, yeah, it
Great.
can K through 12.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, or even higher. Um, we don't have specific early childhood information in there, right? We have our early childhood training of the trainer that we are in our second cohort that we're doing that right now. I don't know what that one looks like moving forward because that one's specific to early childhood, and it has some really great kind of pieces in there. Um, any other questions on that? That's good questions. Okay, I want to honor our committee chair's time. So we did have Sang-hoon and Cassandra are able to be here. So I'm going to go back to that piece. Um, the trauma sensitive schools work group is currently on summer break. So we always take a break June, July, and August. They will reconvene the first Wednesday of September. Cassandra is here with our Indigenous community group. Cassandra, do you want to give an update?
Yes. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yate Abena, Aisha Cassandra Stouter Unisha. Good morning, relatives. It's really an honor to give an update for this committee. I think that the conversations and the communication that has been happening within the group is very supportive and very, very willing to open up certain topics and statements and kind of go the distance to investigate other happenings within schools, within communities, and then folks that are really willing to share what's going on within their schools. And there's been talk about grants as well for programming to support more holistic practices within schools or for after school programming. For example, experiential learning in the outdoors, the schools having grants available for kids to come after school and work on laying down rocks for the future of a gathering space so that they can come into circle and have meetings and gatherings. And so they're beginnings of just establishing more holistic ways of connecting as young human beings. And I think that's just one of the conversations and ideas coming from the folks within the committee. And it's really awesome that each time everyone is able to share certain resources or links to upcoming grants. And I think this is really important for our rural Indigenous communities, because the reality is we're kind of juggling a lot, especially with location on most reservations is, typical travel time is at least an hour 20 to the nearest city or town to have meetings and have folks come out and visit and offer services or different types of education and prevention. And so what happens is, that person, that teacher, that coordinator ends up kind of covering all grounds, for the sake of the time and the distance would be another example. So our committee having becoming like its own thing now and making resources readily available. And, as I said, folks are really interested in other ways of providing holistic learning and growing for young people. And these folks distributing that information out really has been motivating. And I can't wait to see each time what other topics are going to come up. And so I'll be honest, in the beginning, coming into this committee, I thought, gee, I don't really know which way this is going to go. And I kind of thought, well, it's already established and it probably runs a certain way. So there was that part of it, but I think it's just now starting to get its own groove. And we are going to meet again. I think right now what I'm trying to do is just keep a running contact list very up to date. So each meeting I'm asking if any changes happen with emails or titles and roles, just make sure to put that in the chat. And then also their county where they're calling in from. And I keep that up to date right after the meeting. I'll plug all that in. And it's like, we're moving past 100 on that contact list. And I'm just like, it's really motivating. And it's also a goal of mine to start to organize through the roles and the titles to see if we can't create like a theme of certain individuals. And then from that point, start to pull different, more focused topics and ideas to hear a little bit more elaboration on these individuals' expertise and their wisdom and their experience already. And I think that from that point, it'll just start to become a stronger group. So that's what I'm leaning towards. I've been spending most of my time just trying to get to know folks and get comfortable with everyone. It's really about relationship building. And then from there, we can start to I've been trying to pull the reins on myself because I'm like, let's get to it. Let's make some change. Let's, go to our senator and our Congress and let's really make impact. But of course, we all know it's slow work if we're doing it intentionally. And and carefully. So, and that starts, I believe, with us, having those good, trustworthy relationships and that guidance from each other so that we can make proper decisions or good human related decisions as well, just in a good way. Just want to do some good work. So all of that to say, that's my report. And thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Cassandra. And I put Cassandra's email if you're interested in joining the rural or indigenous group. I put that in the chat as well as with her work group, the work group page, because they have some really great recordings of their meetings that if you'd like to go back and see some of the work that is being done across, wow, my brain connection's not working this morning, being done across the state, especially in our indigenous communities and on our tribal lands. So really, really great work. Sabrina is not able to be here for the communications committee. She is already in vacation mode, which is amazing. But just a heads up, they're planning to send out another survey soon to gather feedback on how they can spruce up the newsletter. Reminder that goes out every 2 months. Um, And they're also going to be assisting in branding our social media pages and being more consistent in posting. I am the most inconsistent person when it comes to social media. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like I know that we need to have it, but posting is not my it's not my strong suit. And so they are going to be working on that, which will include staff updates, events, other items that are in the newsletters. And so if you have things that come up throughout, I know that a lot of you will email me, and I love being able to share the information out with our members. But this is if like it's a more time sensitive thing and you can't wait on getting, a week out for the email to be able to email Sabrina and have it put on our social media so that way we can share with all of you. And as a reminder, we have all of our social media links on our social media page. So that way, if you are not following us, the link is right there. You can have that. Sing Hoon, are you ready to give your update for the Trauma Informed Faith Network? You've been doing so much work this past couple months.
Um,
Good
yeah, you
morning.
almost killed me. Good morning.
I bet.
But yeah, and let's see. I'm gonna make a chat might be crowded. Yeah, and yeah, I'm glad you like social media, although you hate. I only hate social media, although I'm consistent with it. Um, we did Weave Clip conference. So Uh, we don't have a regular committee meetings, but it's all combined as a partnership with the Facebook City and Trauma Informed Coalition. Yeah, it's a long history, and if you go to the my website a little bit, have some sketch on that, what's going on, and always enjoy the partnership with the consortium, although I'm part of it, and appreciate that. And because in our conference, ACES Consortium has been always a big sponsor and active participants, of course, in the relationship with Angie and everybody's support. Yeah, so uh, well, I was glad, Angie, I could see you in person in many years. So, how, how was your experience in the conference?
It was really good. And the feedback that I've gotten from everyone was they love the connection and the feeling of community, it reinvigorated them and gave them hope, and they loved seeing all of just being able to meet with the different people. But it was the first time I had been in person in a very long, there were a lot of people that I saw for the first time in a very long time. And it was really nice.
Yeah, so Thank you. So one of the unique thing of that is that yeah, the government did the third year of proclamation and trauma awareness in May in state of Arizona, which is very historic. Started from our conference, it's still going on, and the interesting feature of our conference, I mean, we have from locally, nationally, everybody says, oh, this is my people. At the same time, people from everywhere. And they don't rarely find that collaboration between government and faith community and mental health and school. And, so that's kind of and then all voices are very genuine. They speak up for their own. So there should be a very opposite view, and it's in this divisive world, but still people are very patient and try to build a community. So we love that vibe. Want to continue with our movement. And then I think after this conference, we are more in we draw a lot of attention from national networking networkers. So yeah, well, we're excited for that, and we always and go together with ACES Consortium. And I just wanna have two more things as a heads up, short notice, but um, tomorrow is I'm sorry, I just tried to put in. Okay, it's a too much word. So tomorrow is a star day, and the Jamie Huisman, he's the founder of a star, and it's a huge ceremony. They're gonna do the award. Dr. Feldy and Anda and Kennedy, yeah, about 50, 60 organizations, and then yeah, speakers and coming together. So it's a free, so maybe you can just register and stop by anytime. It's all day globally from tomorrow Eastern time 8:45, which means 5:45 a.m. here. But you can stop by anytime, and there's a great entree of all the speakers and good resources, I believe. So they are the one of the things, and then we have a lot of challenge in ASS Consortium. Actually, Pace's connection, they have, huge challenge last 2, 3 years. But Star Network and there are several other people try to help out Pace's connection with huge resources. Hopefully, the Pace's connection can be revitalized. So that's going to be interesting moment. So that's kind of the thing we want to see happen behind the scenes, that the movement is going to be really more big fuzz there, and hopefully that the ACES consortium also can go together. We need the donors and we need the people, but let's see. Because of our conference, there are a couple of people, national figure, even one of them wanted to move down to the Phoenix. Um, and then collaborating with certain organizations here. So I don't know what will happen, but who knows? Hopefully, we can have a good opportunity for our movement, but also ACES Consortium. Um, that's kind of what's going on and behind the scenes. And I have we've included a community gathering. Um, I don't know, sorry. That's in June 6th. And we're gonna have two speakers. They're authors also. And it's a small gathering, but I'm just putting here. So for our movement wise locally, we have a key churches and also um, the Islam Social Service Association, which is a national organization, and the founder of the organization is Dr. Anissa Nader, and she's local here. So we have a good relationship with them. And then in our conference, we had the rabbi Snyder. She is actually in charge of the Phoenix area community relationship from Jewish community. Of course, we had the Bhikkhu Basu. He is a Buddhist monk, but also he is a co-leader of the original faith network, which is about over 500 organizations. So there are a lot of activities going on, and we have a lot of small gatherings with the key organizations and or churches of faith community. So, and for the East Valley, this is going to be the small event, but that we will have that. So if you are interested, or you can let the word out. Um, Scott is local here. Like Kevin Parker, he just visited. He just moved here, but he's also kind of a young and national figure. A lot of followers on Instagram. A survivor of the addiction and trauma, and actually, I didn't know he came to our conference. I didn't have any idea. But Tempe Coalition, they got hooked up together, and then I'm part of the coalition, and so we met together there, and yeah, like as we talk about it, he became a big fan of our movement, um, and so we're gonna have two authors that speak there. Um, but yeah, like as all committee members, leaders say, it's all about the relationship. I'm not particularly love that the event and bring the speakers highlighting those things. But you know that in our movement and in a conference, what people got surprised is there's so many diversity there, but and then people are so passionate. They're very pay attention whoever talks, because those people is kind of our own the group that are really moving and then shaking the movement. So everybody is very active participants, whether they are speakers or attendees, because we are not focused on the content much. Or the content is good, but the connection is kind of our key focus as like every other committee, and it has been kind of blessed. So I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful for the AHS Consortium continued collaboration. Actually, Arizona Faith Coalition was born in the AHS Consortium, so this is my home, and I'm so happy that we are kind of expanding. I'm so proud of the AHS Consortium. Now we are taught, in the taught training, we have people from more other states and more other countries, but likewise, our local movements are kind of growing. So yeah, this I'm so grateful for. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sang-hoon. Thank you. And if anyone has a chance to go to any of Sang-hoon's gatherings, I can tell you they are Sang-hoon tries to pack as much as he possibly can into one day, but they really do. They'll if you're feeling down, they are going to revive that hope in you, and you'll be able to see all of the work that goes on, right? That we don't even know about and connect. So, um, thank you, Sagan. Starting just in the back of a coffee shop with a few people, and to what you're doing now, it's been amazing to watch. Okay, so the Southern Arizona Trauma Informed Network. Um, um, as we talked about previously, has come back under the Arizona ACEs Consortium. We do have our monthly trainings. They're over Zoom, a second Tuesday of every month from 11:30 to 1. We have some of the recordings on their work group page. June 9th is a little bit different. So this is open for, like, please share with your networks. It is the Triple P Raising Resilient Children. So it's really focused on parents. Um, Robin is presenting this. She asked if she could do this because she has some grant funding and really wants to reach as many parents as possible. And so the link to sign up is there. That'll be June 9th, 11:30 to 1 online. If you are interested in speaking at one of our monthly meetings, Satin has an email list of about like 3,000 people, and they routinely have around 250 registered for the training. So if you're looking at kind of getting outside of the normal network that you speak in, those monthly trainings are really a great way to connect with others. Okay, so that's our community updates, committee updates. We'll go back to um, the consortium announcements, excuse me. As I said at the beginning, I want to update you all where we are for the Arizona Health Improvement Plan for the mental health and well-being strategy. So we identified 5 strategies. It's youth, community resilience, systems improvement, stigma and awareness, and housing that will all fall under this mental behavioral well-being strategy of the health improvement plan. We are still in draft mode, and these are some of the identified actions that we have that the group has identified, and now we're looking for community organizations that are either already doing this work or would like to join with us. There is not any dedicated funding, as a reminder, for the Arizona Health Improvement Plan, but they are doing work in conjunction with the Rural Health and Transformation grant that has come down from the federal government for all of the states. So there's some things that are aligned there. So if you are interested in any of these, or like, hey, my organization already does this, or this organization already does this, please connect with me, let me know, and I will connect them with Sergio Perez at Arizona Department of Health Services, and he will get them connected to this work that we're doing. So for our youth strategies, one of the actions that we were talking about is how do we engage with all of the youth advisory councils across the state? So a lot of our substance use prevention coalitions have youth advisory councils. A lot of our counties have youth advisory councils. The governor's office has a youth advisory council, but those councils don't talk to each other. And there's a lot of great work going on in the communities that is youth led, that other youth just don't know about, right? In the others. So this, one of the strategies that we've identified is really being able to connect all of them and creating a space for them all to be able to collaborate together, right? Whether it's, once or twice a year that we can really get these youth together, and to develop kind of a hub that would be able to use to disseminate information statewide, right? Of like wonderful things that's going on within our communities. So if that is something that interests you, or that you already have work doing, or you have a youth advisory council that you'd like to connect, please reach out. The other piece is supporting youth well-being in schools, really looking at youth and parent resources for providers, identifying and promoting early screenings, especially school-based and in youth centers, collaborating with family resource centers to connect the community and disseminate the information. And then the last one is that kind of expanding training to youth and parents, right? And so identifying and or creating, quote, one-stop shops. You'll see the one-stop shop in a couple of our strategies. We're really looking at in this plan of if we really want to make a difference, and if we really want to look at community resilience and systems improvement and identifying this, we're so spread out and so doing our work, and how can we create one place that people can go to, and how can we utilize the family resource centers that are already in our communities and doing the work. And I know that a lot of times what that comes down to is funding, right? They need more funding. But is there a way that we can kind of connect and create these one stop places? Identify and expand additional trainings to youth and parents. Continue to support healthy relationship efforts and programs. So if this is something that you are already doing, please reach out and let's get you connected to the organization meetings that we have. With the stigma and awareness, again, they've identified creating a virtual one-stop shop for training and resources that spread mental health awareness, reduce stigma. So identify training and resources that can be added to a resource database, expand opioid overdose prevention and naloxone distribution in rural areas, and then identifying organizations that are willing to share their resources, creating grassroots messaging campaigns that reduce the stigma and spread awareness, making sure that we're also talking about the impacts of loneliness, partnering with Contexture to spread education, awareness, and solicit participation on the Unite Us platform. It's the connection piece. And then, of course, expanding awareness of 988. And then this one is creating public stigma-free zones. So places where we have um, educated community members on mental health, right, that people can use as community access points, police, libraries, schools, etc. And then kind of recruiting trusted local figures to become mental health ambassadors to help spread awareness. So you'll see a lot of these strategies really all work together, right? Whether it's youth, whether it's stigma awareness, it's all working towards community resilience and that systems improvement. The community resilience, we're looking at developing digital literacy tools. So digital hygiene and digital literacy came up in a lot of the different strategies. Workforce development, it did. Prevention, it did. And so what does that look like? How can we technology isn't going anywhere. If anything, it just continues to expand. And so how can we educate others on using it in a healthy way, right? And appropriately. Community resilience practices for non-clinical settings. So being able to have cross-sector partnerships, establishing lived experience advisory councils. I'm real big on like, can we please get the people that we're trying to serve into one spot and ask them what they really need, right? What does that look like? Can we have before we start new projects, before we, move forward with new things, can we actually talk to the people that we're serving and say, hey, is this something that, you might like that you'd even access? Is there a way to access it better for you? Expanding stress and resilience training, really looking at training non-clinical community members on being supports, right? And then community resilience practice for clinical settings, expanding mobile and digital services and rural crisis services, including clinics, detox centers, and crisis stabilization. That's part of the Rural Transformation Project. So that is one that's already been identified in that grant. Building coordinated regional prevention coalitions. We do have substance use prevention coalitions for youth that are regional, but really looking at what does that look like community-wide in those pieces. And then really trying to link services in our rural communities that really kind of lack that same day, next day services, and then inventorying current resources and identifying gaps. Thank you, Cassandra. Yes, I saw yours. Okay, and then systems improvement. Systems improvement is another piece that that one of the access to healthcare group is also working on for the Arizona Health Improvement Plan. But when we were looking specifically for this mental health and behavioral well-being piece, is really looking at increasing collaboration we have like I said, we have a lot of great partners doing a lot of great work, and a lot of times there's just not connection between them or a way for them to talk to each other because we're just also busy doing the work, right? Really utilizing those family resource centers to identify where can we best help for the families and the community members theirs, including lived experience in systems improvement and implementing a screening tool for social isolation and loneliness. And then our last one is our housing. So they identified housing as a strategy under the mental and behavioral health well-being piece. And so looking at, and there's some housing coalitions and housing organizations that are currently doing this work that have been connected. But if you do this work and you are not connected, you'd like to be, please let me know. But implementing an environmental scan that assesses the state of housing in Arizona, identifying gaps, opportunities, resources, increasing outreach, education, and promotion of Housing Resource Arizona, specifically looking for out-of-the-box ideas. So, for example, Prescott College, um, they actually rented a nearby campground to give housing to their staff because if you're familiar with Prescott area is really has a it's very hard to find housing in Prescott and Prescott Valley, and especially because the prices are, as a lot of our communities are seeing, the rental prices have outpaced the wage market, right? And so they were looking at ways of like, how do we need to bring staff in to the Yavapai College? How do we, how can we secure housing for them? And so they looked at, kind of out of the box ways of thinking. So if there are things that is happening in your community that are like that, um, what this strategy would like to do is it would like to identify some of those resources and some of those out of the box ideas so that we can share that with other communities, right? Like this is something that's working in our community. Maybe it can work with yours. And then creating housing resources based on gaps and opportunities identified in the environmental scan and action one in that piece to it. So those are the strategies and the action items that we've identified for the mental and behavioral well-being strategy of the Arizona Health Improvement Plan. This plan is from 2026 to 2030. So we're just in that draft stage of the plan. Where we're now at the point of identifying community partners, and we're also identifying outcomes. And then once we have that drafted and finalized, then we'll be able to move forward with the final plan and have the 4 years to kind of work on these pieces. So if you would like to be connected to this, please let me know and I'll get you connected with Sergio. Thank you for those in the chat. I will make sure to connect you all after this meeting. Are there any questions on this? Are there any glaring things that you're like, that is good luck with that, or you really missed the mark, or we really need to have this additional piece to it?
Will the entire presentation be available after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if this is the first time you're hearing the health improvement plan, for our first quarterly meeting that we had, and the recording is on our YouTube channel, I go through the state health assessment and all of those pieces and all of the different strategies, how they identified that, and what the work looks like in what their long-term work plan looks like. Okay. If you have any other questions, let me know. We're getting to the point of network share out. So if you have things, just giving a heads up of our Upcoming trainings and events, we have our online monthly, as you know, the Satin trainings. We have our youth resilience training of the trainer, August 18th and 19th. And then our next certified ACEs training of the trainer is in fall, September 29th, and then all of the Tuesdays in October. Our next quarterly meeting is August 20th and then November 19th. I did want to share our new donation page in Zephy. One of the cool things is if you would like to create like your own fundraiser for the Arizona ACEs Consortium, you can do so. They have the peer-to-peer fundraising pieces in there that you can go through, or if you wouldn't mind sharing that out. I know a lot of us are in the same boat, but if you do have the space, we would really appreciate it. We do like to provide as much as we can at no cost, but we also, unfortunately, have to continue continue going with some of the costs that we have, so to be able to provide those services. So thank you very much for that. Um, we already did our social media page. For you all, what do you have to share, Leslie?
Okay, I have a couple things to share, but also I want to tell you too, Angie, that I've worked in Pima County. I've worked with 4 different youth groups, just
Mm-hmm.
through various, either on the board or through my summit. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
connect you with those 4. We've got
Thank you.
Metropolitan Commission, we've got Youth Health Action Team, various ones.
Yeah.
And then I also I'm on the board of the Community Prevention Coalition in Pima County, and they're doing some really great work around housing and some of the and substance and some of the. So I'll connect you with them as well.
Thank you.
So yeah. So my first announcement is that my book is officially published, and so it is Transform the Felt Safety Toolkit. I'm going to put it in the chat, but NAU is going to be using it as part of their curriculum for teacher training for a master's next year. And I've got a couple departments at U of A who are using it for staff development training. That's really what it's designed for. It
Mm-hmm.
or as a toolkit to create this felt safety, right? That pulls in components of trauma, that pulls in components. I do the internal family system, so polyvagal theory, Dr. Bruce Perry's work, and kind of puts that all together. We dip a little bit into brain retraining. Um, and then I've also got a couple districts too in Tucson who are using it as the next year's professional development for their counselors and social workers. So I'm excited. I haven't had really a lot of time to do much other than that with it. Um, but it's out. So and then the other thing is that, and I know you shared this as well, Angie, but I'm going to put it in the chat. The cohorts, the resilience cohorts for 26, 27 are out and you can register. There is trauma and resilience. There's a caregiver resilience, which really focuses a lot on burnout, wellness around that, soul care versus self-care. And then also the adult resilience train the trainer. And so we, at this point, that I have over 1,000 who have gone through the cohorts and who are really out there doing some great work. A lot of them overlap with this consortium because the work overlaps, which is beautiful and the way it should work. And so if you're interested in any of those, there's information there. And my last announcement is that I am retiring.
I knew
So
that was going to come next. I've heard that in your voice, just the do I announce out loud?
yes, so end of July, I'm retiring. I'm actually going to take a health sabbatical, really
Good
try
for
to,
you.
yeah, focus on health. And then I will be continuing this type of work in some way.
Hmm.
So I may go a little bit more towards just wellness in general, but I will still be in this space and still around after I kind of get my health back online.
Yeah.
But this program, the Resilient Schools program in Pima County, will continue. We've got some really great candidates that we're interviewing. And so there will be somebody representing this role moving
Awesome.
forward. So,
Awesome. Well, Leslie, you have done an absolutely amazing job in this role, and all of the new resources that you have brought to Pima County, and they will have big shoes to fill, but I know that you will be there to support them
I will.
as they go through. So congratulations on a very well-deserved sabbatical, and I look forward to what that future kind of looks like in this space.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Anyone else have um, events, trainings, activities, things you'd like to share with the group? And remember, it's not just here. We'll also send them out as with the follow-up email to our members. And you can put it in the chat if you'd like as well. Tatiana?
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this one is a little bit different, but I do want to share because it's coming up on June 13th. We're having a fatherhood baby shower.
Yes.
So
I love
any
it.
fathers who are expecting or have a child under about 6 months are able to attend. So
That's amazing.
yeah, I'll put in the chat. Of
Thank
course,
you.
moms can come, but this is really to celebrate dads in a different way.
I love it. I love that. Thank you, Tatiana. As most of you know, I had a granddaughter in June of last year, and watching her father, um, it has been quite the treat. It has been quite the treat. And also, we do not give enough resources for dads. And so I absolutely love seeing that.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, will do. Anyone else?
I'll
Hi, this is Anne
share. Oh,
from Origins and the Resilience Learning Community. Good to see you all. We have a training that we are co-facilitating with Rhonda Fitzgerald from Sustained Dialogue. It's a one-time, it's on how to facilitate community dialogue. She's going to offer her framework for doing that in like a one-time session. If you only have a one time where you're like trying to navigate conflict, they primarily work on college campuses. So she has a lot of experience with administrators, staff, and then students. So if you are in any kind of setting where you're like organizational or within the community and you have that coming up. It is free. I put the link in the chat and hope to see you there.
Awesome, Andy. Thank you. What a great resource. Thank you. Cassandra?
yes, thank you. I was just looking at my calendar. So June 2nd, I speak on a panel with the ASU cross-sector behavioral health in rural Arizona. So it's a multi-agency panel from a Medicaid pilot. So I've joined this group. I believe it's going to be another committee, but they want me to focus on the Indigenous prenatal and perinatal demographic focused on ACEs and substance.
Nice.
So and with that, I just wanted to share in April, I got certified as a full spectrum Indigenous doula. So this is practicing original ways of helping parents give birth at home or through ceremony. And I'm really pursuing this as far as I can. I got a scholarship this summer to get more of the medical certification to enhance that. So I'm really excited about this. Also, Native American connections in the Phoenix area would like me to do a very long series. And so we will be touching quite a bit on ACEs or historical trauma and how that shows up even with our staff and dealing with the clients, or trying to help with the healing process, and just, I guess, a root of my story and why I'm really in this work is I feel that creators just really kind of clearing the path for me to begin to share and be a part of that healing, because I've had to do that for myself for a really long time. And so I am a survivor of many things, but just recently I'm being pulled in more to the missing and murdered Indigenous people work. And this has been really interesting for me because I've been researching and really dissecting not just the outcomes or where we're at with those statistics, but because I am a survivor of that, I'm really researching and diving into my younger self and mapping out what happened before I was in those situations. And when I draw a line backwards to the events leading up to those traumatic happenings, I find a lot of opportunity to build programs and more prevention that kind of does more of a 360 view before we even get there. And so being called into the birth work and the traditional practices of our original stories and our connection to Mother Earth, and what that whole process is ceremony wise within the womb. Water is an element, and water is a medicine, and water is that first home and that first place that we have that connection. And so a lot of these teachings, I feel like before those horrific events happen in my own life, that a lot of those original teachings tied into prevention programming and works and advocacy would have saved my life in many different ways. And so for the longest time, I couldn't even share my personal story and the happenings that happened without my voice shaking, obviously without my body going through that traumatic response again. Whereas now I feel not 100% healed. I feel just more of that natural unfolding that's ready to do this work in a way that, not to put pressure on anyone, or that, that kind of pressure, or even on myself to continue this work. But it's more so to validate, the most horrific happenings happened when I was 15. And so more so to validate her 15-year-old voice and her experience, meaning myself, my younger self. And when I do that and I find the education around it and understand it, I'm better able to connect with those in the community, which there's several, there's so many, and so many that are experiencing being without a loved one right now and constantly yearning for their loved one and not knowing where they are. They are missing. They are potentially gone. And so I think a lot of that has just really brought me some healing, and creators just been like, okay, here's some training around that to help you. And then also some spaces have been pulling me in very slow and grounded, like ceremonial ways, so that I could share. My recent trip to New York City was a week ago, and we did a march down Manhattan, and we sat in community and did body unwinding. So a lot of the language within conferences, you get kind of tightened up, or you're just sore and tired, let alone with these heavier topics. We were able to do an unwinding of our fascia and our muscle tissue and our tendons throughout our body, while connecting back to our original ceremonial stories and what's happening in our body. So it was extremely healing. And I feel like more of a slower way to allow people to kind of do their own unfolding. So just really grateful for that. And ITCA would like me to do a youth conference coming up next month. And I'll put the flyer in the chat. But more and more, I think our communities are just really interested in ACEs, really interested in suicide ideation prevention and these heavier topics. And I'm a part of Mesa Community College and U of A and ASU Indigenous programs, and their young people are doing amazing things, and they are requesting these hard-hitting topics. Like, for them, they just want to get to the point, and allowing Indigenous young people to lead practices of talking circle and just being there as like an anti-guide, just letting them know this is a healthy practice for my generation and growing up on the reservation and those hardships to be in a reality now where the generation is wanting to take a hold of that healing is super empowering. And I just really respect our young people for their own wisdom. They have grown up witnessing their parents' behaviors and just kind of that imprisonment of not really fully jumping into healing. And I feel like this generation's just like, ask the question, say the word, make sure you're a safe person so that this stuff can, start to breathe air and, and it's just so refreshing. And then recently I saw Angie at the Home is Healing. I did a Home is Healing presentation for the homeless communities and, really touching on more of the Indigenous worldview and knowledge that home again starts in the womb, and that forever spiritual connection is always there. And even though our relatives are out or, suffering on the streets, it's a lot of story behind that as well. So we did a deep dive on that and what home really is, and if we can provide ceremony to our relatives wherever they're at, and trying to build more of that understanding, then change can start to unfold as well. But yeah, I'm just grateful to kind of voice some of these things and be a part of folks like you that are doing amazing work as well. But that was a lot to say, but I'm just have many focus areas where I'm like, yes, I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. So just really happy to share.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, Cassandra. And then Leslie put in the chat that former Arizona State Superintendent of Schools, Kathy Hoffman, is in the process of creating a new unit at ASU, the Responsive Systems Design Lab, grounded in whole child approaches. She's advising, and they'll be meeting on June 2nd to look at how this might roll out. That is super exciting. That is super exciting. And one thing that I think we've had those conversations so many times, right? Like, of how do we get it into that space? So thank you, Cassandra. I've downloaded that. I will share that Youth Health Summit out as well. Anyone else have trainings or events that they would like to share with the network? Oh, Melissa also put Arizona 127 has an intro to TBRI, which is trust-based relational intervention training on June 25th. And the link is in there. You can also email Melissa if you have any questions. We used a lot of the TBRI principles within our Resilience Empowerment Project training. They have really great material if you're interested. Okay. Well, if you are typing, continue typing. If something comes up that you're like, ah, I wish I would have shared that, please just email me and I will make sure to put that in the follow-up email. As always, thank you so much for coming in and sharing space and sharing out all of everything that you are doing. I hope you all have a very great holiday weekend, that you have some time for rest and relaxation. And Leslie, congratulations on retirement again. That is amazing. Um, and let me know if you need anything. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.